Welcome to the KMBest podcast. I'm KMBest, joined as always by Magic the Gathering legend Gerry Thompson. And today I wanted to start with a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is I think the Marvel Snap devs are slightly misunderstanding what makes a card good in Marvel Snap in a way that I am maybe a week ahead of them on. But that week ahead gives me such a desire to act like it's the biggest difference in the world. No, I really do want to talk about something that I think they misjudged slightly, and that is the buffs to the zombie package. Because throughout the entire course of conversation about we are giving a bunch of buffs to the zombie package, it feels like few sentences in their OTA. And what they did was they added 2 points to Scarlet Witch and effectively 3 points to Zombie Giant Man. They were basically saying, look, if this proves to be too strong, we'll dial it back. We don't if we don't want you to feel like you are safe investing in this. If it's actually good, it's getting nerfed. Like that first of all, not a great way to sell cards. Second of all, though, I think it misunderstands what Marvel Snap is about right now. For the longest time, Marvel Snap was decks of Jund. It was Tarmogoyfs and good removal, and the Tarmogoyfs sort of naturally dodged the good removal. Shang-Chi was a much more all-encompassing answer to a bunch of different things. Like, who remembers when Living Tribunal was randomly 10, so Shang would still hit it, right? Like, that kind of stuff. There's just a bunch of stuff that card answered that is no longer true. It's not the only way to dodge stuff is not to be smaller now. But for a while, that's sort of how it was. And what's current in the Marvel Snap metagame is that there is just such a preponderance of decks that have Iron Man type scaling, whether that be Deadpool or Dakin or Human Torch or whatever deck is playing Moon Girl or whatever deck is playing Frigga or whatever deck is playing Prodigy. There's a bunch of X2 scaling that goes bigger than plus X scaling. And when you look at the zombie package, it's a lot of plus X scaling with an X2 slapped on the end in the form of Zombie Giant Man, which means that as far as plus X scaling goes, it naturally has a higher ceiling. But it also means that I think fundamentally it's an incredibly safe place to put points, which is why I'm so surprised that they don't seem to think that.
Well, two things. One is that it's not like these cards got made yesterday.
Sure.
Right? Like, things probably looked different months ago whenever these cards were getting made. I mean, I don't know. At this point, Invisible Woman, for example, has been kind of a menace off and on for months, right?
Right.
So there is that aspect, but I don't know. I feel like that is just the thing with card games in general is, like, if you want to win, you should probably look at doing the most powerful thing. This game is just about making points. How do you go about making the most points? It is generally not like, oh, I'll play a 1-2 and then like a 2-3 and then a 3-5, it's just, you got to look for the scalars that you're talking about. And Iron Man is probably like the earliest thing that you get where you're like, oh, holy shit, I see exactly what I can do in this game. But then, Invisible Woman kind of stuff. And then it's like, well, what if I copy this too?
Yeah. I think, go ahead.
No, it makes sense that those are the things that would be at the tippy top, or at least would be like the threats with the target on their head.
It's also, I think, an issue of answers being less generally applicable than they used to be and harder to fit all in the same deck. And you see this with Shang-Chi, you see this with Shadow King, you see this with Enchantress. All three of those cards are harder to fit in a deck running any of the other ones than they were 2 months ago. And post Invisible Woman, there are just going to be decks that are threatening you in ways that those cards can't interact with in a meaningful way anyway. So you end up having to sort of pick and choose. And right now, previously these metas would be Red Guardian metas. Currently, they're like Cosmic Ghost Rider metas. But it's just like the two tech cards I see the most are Shadow King for the zombie package and Cosmic Ghost Rider to just be like half of every tech card in every matchup. And to me, when I think of this, I think back to those old team answers where Glenn was talking about how their dream metagame was ships passing in the night. I think they've achieved their dream metagame. I think they've done it. Like, There's a lot of stuff that's viable. It's sort of dependent on whether or not you run into the one person who's playing the actual tech card that beats you. But you can do a lot of different stuff. You could do cool stuff with Invisible Woman, with Human Torch, all of these like famous Marvel characters, Deadpool and Wolverine. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, and you can even make it Morbin time. I would argue this is the most appealing metagame to a new player that we've ever had.
I was going to ask, why is that the appealing spot for a metagame to settle in?
I think if you're making a relatively casual game, what you want is dynamic gameplay that feels different. And Marvel Snap doesn't have a lot of room for that because, like you said, it's just, a bunch of numbers, right? But the way in which all of these decks achieve their X2s, or X2 in this case not being X/2 being ×2, is different. The way a Deadpool deck achieves it is different from the way a Dakin deck achieves it, is different from the way a Prodigy Invisible Woman deck achieves it. They feel different, like you're putting together a puzzle in a different way when you play these different decks. And they cap out at relatively similar power levels. So the games between them are interesting. And then there's the games where you get interacted with, which are also, I think you could argue, interesting or not interesting, depending on which person you are. I feel like they've really hit a point where a lot of appealing things are able to be done. We know players love doubling. That's the biggest lesson you can learn from Magic the Gathering, is players love when things do that. I kind of think they've nailed it in a way that I don't even know if they fully comprehend, because they're still so worried about like the linear scaling of a zombie package. It's like, that's fine. You can do that. It's totally chill.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it certainly helps when those decks have identities. And it, for a lot of the scaling stuff, you are right, where it's like Torch or Deadpool or Invisible Woman. Those are pretty popular characters, and that's good. Whereas something like V-Hand, I think, is kind of a failure. But I don't know. I'm sure there are Victoria Hand fans out there, and they are maybe loving it.
I have always had the idea in the back of my mind that they should just swap Victoria Hand and Nick Fury's abilities. And then suddenly that deck is a Nick Fury deck, and it's just cool as hell. Like, they should just be, Nick Fury should be the 2/3.
That would be cool, but in terms of the early game stuff, it does mess everything up.
It doesn't. Nick Fury is Series 4. I think.
Oh.
He's at least Series 3. He used to be a Season Pass card. There's no way he's anything earlier than that.
Oh my god, I forgot that.
Yeah, he was a 5/7 on the Season Pass.
That's so bad.
Yeah, people look back on the early days of Marvel Snap, and then they don't ever look back on 5/7 Nick Fury, 4/6 Thor, both Season Pass cards. They're like, man, they used to be really risk-taking then, and it's just like the worst cards you've ever seen.
Did Thor really cost 4?
Yeah, Thor was a 4/6.
God, that's rancid.
It's really bad. Yeah, like one of these days, I think it would be good content for us to go back through the beta Marvel Snap for people who weren't there and talk about just like how actual dog do it was. Like, it was a great
Moon
game,
Girl,
but like, holy crap, the balance was bad.
3/3 Moon Girl, 3/0 Devil Dino.
Yep.
+2 Nova.
Yep.
Love it.
Killmonger was just like the best card ever made in that metagame. It would just randomly drop in Series 2, though. So, or Series 3. And so, like, I ripped Killmonger really early, and I got 2 days out of playing Killmonger, which was basically just like a deck that had a 70% win rate because we were all playing the same decks with 1-drops in them, except I had Killmonger and my opponents didn't. It was just deeply unfair. Killmonger
was my second to last card out of that series.
I ended up getting screwed on those series later in there because by the time Killmonger was like my second card, but by the time the meta had changed, it was like Sarah decks, it was Death decks, it was Hellcow decks. And I got Hellcow at like CL 1500. And then they nerfed Hellcow. And
Hellcow 2/8?
2/6. It was a 2/6, yeah. 2/6 Hellcow.
4/8. 4/8 though.
Yes. And I did not get Sarah or Death for another like 800 collection level, which is so ass. But yeah, that was the early Marvel Snap meta. We used to do things like Blade Your America Chavez, which was the 6/9 that started in hand, and then Ghost Rider it, because Ghost Rider cost 3 for reasons. I like just a bunch of
Yeah.
weird stuff. Just a lot of weird stuff going on back then. It was certainly a metagame. And I think that is the best thing I can say about it. I used to play a Sarah deck with Mysterio, Bucky, Carnage. You just didn't have better stats than that. You just like Carnage your Bucky, and it's like, I guess that's the best stats I can get for 2. All right, I'm already playing Angela.
That sounds about right.
I'm already playing Angela. There's literally no other good 2s. Might as well do this. Kingpin used to blow stuff up. Like if you moved something to Kingpin's lane, it would just die. Now, this is balanced because we basically had no good ways to move things. It was just Arrow and Polaris, and that was it. But
also all of our cards were bad.
yes, it was like Arrow, Polaris, Magneto, which is cool. Like that's a cool package. But Arrow was doing much stupider stuff at the time, and Magneto was like kind of okay, and Polaris was good because she just said 3/5 on it and just has the entire game for reasons unknown to anyone. It's like they thought she had a downside. Like it's such a weird.
Now that you bring that up,
Yeah, it's so weird. Like it.
Huh.
It's very odd. It was one of the earliest things that I noticed. Like it's part of why I was playing Polaris and Arrow before a lot of other people. It was just like why is that cost like a downside? It's got Deathlock stats. It's amazing. It's busted.
Well, okay. Polaris is actually cool. Does have fans. Is Magneto's daughter.
Yep.
So I don't know. Give her the stats.
Did you know what her actual name is?
Lorna Dane?
Yes. What is wrong with them?
What do you mean?
How is that like not just an embarrassing name to give somebody? In a world of like genuinely embarrassing names, first, like Lorna Dane. It sounds like a cookie or a dog breed. There's no humanity in that. This is a gingerbread cookie shaped like a dog. It is alternately a 120-year-old woman.
Why are you talking shit about my girl?
First of all, are you Magneto? You are wearing red today.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I just like it's a terrible name. It's really bad. Like every other name in X-Men is like relatively normal, right? Okay. Jean Grey.
To be fair,
Summers,
her birth
Hank
name
McCoy.
her birth name would have been Lorna Lensher.
Yeah,
if she were not abandoned and adopted.
Lorna Dane is not a name. That's a brand.
It's a hell of a brand.
It's just not.
Polaris is dope.
It's I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't have much more material. Like I really would just be repeating myself. But I want to drive the point home. Like that is a brand of labradoodle shaped cookies. It's not.
Her name is fine.
It's not. It's absolutely.
There are plenty of bad names. This is, I don't know. You're making fun of, like, if this were my child's name or something, okay. But she is not a real person. And there are so many worse comic book character names. Blackagar, Boltagon.
Right, yes. Like, there are bad names, but they're all from, like, non-human societies, right? Like, this is a bad name in the context of it's a human society. I can't think of a dumber name in, like, base human.
There are, like, every other name is awful.
Most of the X-Men are chill. Oh, yeah, Hank McCoy. Charles Xavier. They're all, that's fine. They got like normal-ass names. Angels is pretty weird, but it's weird because he's rich. It's just like a rich guy name. Like, like they're not. But Lorna Dane is like an 1880s grandmother.
According to the cartoon, she was raised by a cow. So
like the cows sort of mentally live in the 1800s still. Is that the implication there?
or it's, non-human naming convention.
Yeah, like a pre-industrial cow society. That name is pre-industrial. Like if you told me that was a Victorian England name and she got it because they time traveled back to Victorian England with Mastermind or whatever, I would be like,
Dude,
okay, sure.
Lorna is a fine name.
I have never met or heard of a single person named Lorna.
No, of course not.
Okay, all right. I think we just have to move back to the Marvel Snap portion of this. Anyway,
This is Marvel Snap related. It's very important.
I think that...
Oh, you moving things now? Are you Magneto?
I'm Polaris. I'm Lorna Dane. I think that this is...
I like Lorna way more than I like you.
All right, you're getting pretty uppity for a clone. This is just we can't take this. We're gonna go to a quick break where I replace this Gerry with a different Gerry. Hold on a second, dude. You should actually just like take the beanie off right now.
Oh, you don't want that.
Oh, okay, sure, fair enough. Do you have a second hat you could put on? Either way, that like just to push the gag further. No hat? Nothing?
My hair's yellow.
I didn't even see it. Looks normal.
So I said you don't want any of that.
All right, so we're going to pretend this is... As you can see, I've replaced Gerry with what seems to be a pirate Gerry. We've got a new one going on here. So what we've done is... hopefully erased the memory of the previous conversation from this Gerry's mind. And now we have Pirate Gerry, who is here to resume the conversation about...
No, this pirate is also a big fan of Polaris, so I don't know.
Damn. All right, well, you can take the something out of something, but you can't take the something else out of something else. I'm not putting the effort into figuring out that joke. So, largely my contention for where the state of Marvel Snap is it used to be a bunch of Tarmogoyfs and removal spells, and now it's a bunch of like we're getting closer to like a modern or legacy format. And that's not necessarily like a conversation about power creep. It's really just the removal spells are worse, right? The answers are worse, so the proactive questions get better and better and better, and it becomes impossible to run all the answers. So not only are the answers worse, the questions are more diverse.
Well, I don't know if it's even that necessarily. It's just that, like, with the initial stuff that existed that did scale, they baked in answers to those things, right?
Yeah.
And now that they have made new scalers, there are not answers for those things.
Well, there are. It's just you have to run them and the answers for the old stuff, which makes your deck non-functional.
Sure. But, like, if you needed the old answers to contend, period, then I don't know. I feel like, yeah, you're just in a spot where you need to stop and think about like what you're doing with your life.
And
you're
what
like, I can't beat any deck that exists unless I have the perfect thing at the perfect time. And it's just like, well, maybe the rest of your deck sucks.
Exactly. Which is why, if you're a tech gamer, you are worshiping at the altar of Cosmic Ghost Rider right now. Because he is 50% of every tech card in every matchup. Which is to say, he's not as good as running Mobius against a Sarah deck. He's not as good as running Mercury against a move deck. He's not as good as any of this stuff. But he's like half as good as all of them in the matchups they're meant for. And if you add all that up, he's like 250% as good as any of them. That's how that works. That's how math works.
Is that boy math or girl math? I think it's boy math.
I think it's Steiner math. Are you familiar with Steiner math?
No, nor do I want to be.
Okay, fair enough. But that is what it is. And this one goes out to... This one we're going to file under the Gerry Hates John Candy files, where it's just like the absolute... Nobody else on Earth would ever have this opinion This one goes in that one, where it's just like everyone else thinks Steiner math is funny. This one is filed in the John Candy folder, which I respect you for having the courage of your convictions, even if I believe they are ultimately harmful to a democratic society.
I mean, you want to debate whether or not we're actually in a democratic society?
Actually, no, I don't. I don't think I want to debate that.
Yeah, okay.
I think if I debate that, then they might show up at my door. You feel me? Which sort of goes to prove the pointlessness of the debate, I suspect. I'm going to get picked up for wrongthink, aka having the wrong opinions on Marvel Snap. There's just like someone in DHS who's like a really, really big fan of like Living Tribunal or whatever.
They're hard stuck rank 60.
Yes,
the type.
They're just mad as fuck. I also think it's probably worth talking about the other things they did in the patch, though, because the zombie buff, it's like, okay, I am, I guess, a little surprised that these cards are like, first of all, they're good, but they're not busted. But it's like, man, they added 5 points of power to this, and they were just like, chill. But if you want me to pinpoint the exact thing that this patch did the most, I would say what it did is made Zombie Scarlet Witch playable with Merlin, and that is the biggest deal possible. Because now at 4 power, you can actually reasonably put other things in that lane and flush them away, right? And actually feel good about that. There's just a whole larger group of cards that you are able to modify with Merlin spells in a Zombie Scarlet Witch lane that you have access to. I think I came on here last week and said what they should do is add an on-reveal horde creation to Zombie Scarlet Witch, and I just want to officially recant that. They're smarter than me. The 3/4 is a way better buff because it let it work with Merlin.
Yeah, I buy that. That does make sense. The interesting part about the patch to me was the fact that they're like, oh, we tested these like in tandem with each other and not really paying attention to like the release cadence of them. And to me, it felt like that made more sense to me.
I feel like I saw that and I was like, that's cope. Like, I believe that they tested these in context, but what I think they missed was they probably tested this stuff before they nuked every tech card, right? Like, they tested this stuff with 2/3 Shadow King, with 4/3 Shang-Chi that blew up the entire board, with 4/6 Enchantress. Probably. They tested this stuff in that environment. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get why you were worried about that in a world where Angela is actually good because it's being backed up by these universal answers. That makes way more sense to me. Rather than like, oh, okay, we're in a different world because like basically what they were doing is they were printing a bunch of Tarmogoyfs, right? And they're like, damn, our Tarmogoyfs can't be too big. Like we can't just like print more Tarmogoyfs. Our answers are so strong. And then they nerfed all the answers and it's like, now we're in a context where the Tarmogoyfs don't even matter. And now the Tarmogoyfs need more numbers. And that makes way more sense to me as like what would have happened here than we tested it with Zombie Sentry and it was busted. I don't know about that, man.
Well, I don't think they said it was busted, but it wasn't Sentry either. Like Hunger wasn't out yet either.
Sure, and Hunger is quite good. Hunger's got me playing Joaquin Torres. I guess, do I need to offer you an apology as the Joaquin Torres truther? You've waited for 9 months for someone to be like, Joaquin Torres is good, and it's finally happening. It just took one additional spell at 1.
Yeah, that's the thing with cards like this is that, like, they get better with time, and eventually there will be things that do make it worth playing. It's not that the text box is weak. It's like, okay, if you can't make the package work now, that's not Joaquin's fault, you know?
Yeah, it turns out, I mean, there's another spell coming out next month. Deafening Chord, which like it smacks it, dude, for -1 and takes the power off. And it's like, not only are these Joaquin cards, they're also Werewolf by Night cards. And that's part of why it was such a big deal that Zombie Scarlet Witch works well with Merlin now, is because it just gives her a much more natural home in Merlin, werewolf, things of that nature. Like she just actually, the whole package works with that now in a way it was previously totally unworkable with. That to me is fundamental to these cards being playable at this point. Of all the nerfs of all the like potential things they could do if this gets out of control, which I don't think it will. Taking away power from Zombie Scarlet Witch is the one I would push against the hardest, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like she is kind of the headliner and the fun card. And so I mostly agree with that, but it would be weird if, say, in this fictitious world where zombies is quite good and you're like, oh, we need to nerf some of it, and you nerf like the other stuff, and then it just means that those 5 other cards or whatever don't see play, but ZSW is still seeing play. That would be really awkward to me.
See, you say that's really awkward. I think that's exactly what you want if ZSW is the card people are paying for. I got a double up reason for you that's cynical.
Paying cash money, yeah, but I mean, we're buying these cards one way or another if we are, right?
Well, we aren't, though, because the hunger came in the game mode in Sanctum Showdown, which I'm never not going to call Sanctum Sanctorum because I really only have room for one Sanctum in my brain. And Zombie Century is coming in Grand Arena, which, by the way, official plea to Second Dinner, please, 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 please put the Thing Champion variant in this Grand Arena. I will either grind or pay for it. I want that bad. I need that variant. There are not a lot of good Thing First Steps variants. That Dardo Studios Champion Thing variant is so sick. Please let me buy it.
That is kind of the worst thing about new cards.
That you can't get all the cool stuff for them?
Yeah, it's just they don't exist.
Yeah. Like it takes them a while to like get variants that are cool. Like they'll release with like one variant and you'll look at it and you'll be like, I guess. And then you'll buy that variant and then they'll like make an actually good variant for it later. And you'll be like, you got me, Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I think Nico has done that like 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Man, I feel like I just want to give a shout out to Nico Minoru for just consistently showing up in a bunch of different places. Just like an all-star. An all-star.
And also never changed, right?
Yeah. She's just exactly the same card she's always been. She shows up in a bunch of different spots, consistently not busted, but interesting. Cool card. Jesus.
Meow.
might be the best design in the game. Like up there with Thanos.
Definitely a fun card. I don't know if like best designed. It's weird.
What's weird about it?
It is 7 cards in one.
So you think that's like sort of a hack? Like it's like I can't call that good design. They just like put a bunch of shit on the card.
No, it's just all the other cards are just one card, and it's like, oh, we're trying to condense it to like 3 lines of text or whatever for every other card, and this one is just like, it's 7 cards.
I suppose I can see that being a like because you notice I pulled Nico and Thanos, and it's like, oh, are those actually good design or are they just a bunch of cards in one card?
And they're all cheap cards, and they all like draw cards. Ideally, you know,
there's 7 of them as well. Like,
you got to type.
Yeah, I mean, first, okay, Nico is technically 6 cards, right? Is she 7? No, she is 7. All right, never mind. No, I got to type. You got my ass.
I mean, if you get her off a brick location, then yeah.
Yep, you got my ass. It's I am owned. I am dominated in the arena of ideas. If a card is 7 cards, I will like it more. Which brings me to my Marvel Snap design fundamental. Can we get some Kaijudo cards in Marvel Snap? If you can hear me, Glenn Jones. Give me some Kaijudo cards.
I worked on Kaijudo. Glenn Jones did not.
But you
Why
don't
are you
work on Marvel
appealing to
Snap,
him?
and Glenn Jones does. That's why.
Yeah.
He has the ability to change this.
But what the hell would he know about Kaijudo? And also, Kaijudo didn't have 7-sided cards. That was Duel Masters. That is Duel Masters.
What is the difference between those two things?
Duel Masters has been out in Japan for like 25 years, maybe more. And Kaijudo was out for about 2 years. And so if you gave it 2 more decades, we probably would have had 7-sided cards. But
I, this whole time, kind of thought that Kaijudo was just Duel Masters.
It is. It's rebooted Duel Masters. Except Duel
sense.
Masters flopped in the US the first time. So like, we're going to rename it, rebrand it, and trick people so that they don't think that it's the same thing. And also they made a Kaijudo cartoon and it went on The Hub. Do you know what The Hub is?
No.
It is Hasbro's own personal channel, cable channel.
See, I'll be honest with you. I think approximately 95% of men aged 18 to 35
when I
think
say
of
The
a
Hub,
different thing when you say The Hub.
the Hub.
I gotta imagine that the amount of people that would go where you went there is very low.
No, not me, man. I live in Virginia. They banned all porn in Virginia. So
is that true?
It's complicated. I don't know. I don't know the exact workings of it, but I know that there is like some anti-porn stance happening.
Just, it's so funny to have that be your answer to that question. Like, it's complicated.
I didn't look into the laws. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I gotta know this. This is this is my one. I'm a one voter or a one issue voter. It's just bring back Pornhub. Yeah, that's what I care about.
It's complicated. Okay. Incredible.
It's complicated to the point where I don't know exactly what is happening.
Incredible. Unbelievable. Much like my continual pitch for ridiculous hat as Eric Adams correspondent. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, King Eric Adams. He's not dead. He just dropped out of the mayoral race.
Might as well be dead to us.
Yeah, he's not doing funny stuff at nearly as high a volume at this point.
Yeah, not enough people are recording that guy anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame because I would suggest that there is maybe one man in America who should be continually recorded for entertainment value more than Eric Adams. And at least that guy is, and that's Donald Trump.
I was going to make a joke and it was going to be really funny. It was like, oh, should the person who is recorded more than Eric Adams for comedic value be John Candy?
This sucks because it's like you hate John Candy so much that you don't even know that he's dead. Like,
I know he's dead. That's why it's a joke.
Okay. It's hard to tell through your raging hatred of a Canadian icon. I just don't understand why.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't know he was Canadian, but
right,
very
that makes
important.
you make does that not make you hate
No,
him
what
more?
part of Canada is he from?
Yeah, I don't think he's from Quebec. So there you go.
I know that, but it's still like,
I don't know.
You know, if it's Winnipeg, I might be hating.
Look, I'm American. I don't know Canada in any real way outside of like Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny. That's my cultural exposure to Canada. You expect me to be like, oh yeah, he's from Manitoba. I don't know where that is, nor do I know if he's from there. Why would
Toronto?
I know that?
Ottawa? Vancouver? Vancouver's great.
Could be anywhere. You're just naming places. If you asked me to put those things on a map, I'd be like, no idea. I would guess. Then I know Toronto. The Blue Jays play in the AL East. So it's probably on the eastern side of Canada. That's as far as I've gotten.
I was detained at the Canadian border while going to Winnipeg for a PTQ.
Correctly, right? They identified you as a subversive element spreading hatred in their country.
I sort of identified myself Okay, so this is back in the day when to cross the border as a minor, all you needed was a note from your parents.
Which presumably you forged?
I believe I had an actual note.
Wow.
But there was a 40-year-old man, Steve McKenna. He went down the alt-right pipeline, and is now deceased, but was a very nice, sweet guy at the time when I knew him. 40-year-old guy driving me, I think a 17-year-old, and then my friend T-Bulge, 16-year-old. And so we get to the border.
So you're getting trafficked.
Yeah, basically. It
okay.
In hindsight, it looks bad.
Yeah.
Real bad. And I hand over my note from my mother, and then they're talking to T-Bulge in the back, and he's just like, note, lol, like, why I need that? I'm just going to Canada. Who cares? You know, it's just Canada. And the Mountie is like, son, do your parents know where you are? And I immediately snapped off, why don't you ask them? They're in the trunk.
Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is, when you say Mountie, I'm imagining like full red uniform.
It was a border
horse.
cop, man. I don't remember. He did not have a horse. He might have had one of them hats.
Okay. The hats are
you
cool.
know.
The Mountie always gets his man. So, you know, you're in trouble there. What ended up happening?
Anyway, they had us pull over, and they detained us for a while, and they called my mother, and I could hear her. So like, we're at this counter, and then, you know, there's random stuff behind the counter, and then there's like an office behind that, and I could hear my mom on the other end of the phone in the office in the other room saying, he said what? Just like screaming that. But they eventually let us go, and I lost playing for top 8.
Okay,
no, I lost playing for top 8. It was bullshit.
Yep. It was definitely rigged against you, foreigners in Canada. You know, like that the genesis of your inexplicable raging hatred for Canadians.
I hate Winnipeg in a way where like it has fueled me with a fire for vengeance and to like better myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not go to. No, it's gone pretty well, actually. That has served me well my entire life.
In what capacity?
So, I think that having that sort of thing fuel me has made me a better person, has made me more motivated.
So, when you're winning the Pro Tour, what you're thinking about is how much you hate Winnipeg?
I mean, in that moment, no. But it was a stepping stone to get there, you know? And I love them for the fact that I was able to go there, have that experience, and then manufacture this, you know, rivalry or whatever. Me versus a nameless city.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a name, but
name.
like,
you know,
but like the like, I saw the basement of a Canadian Legion. I don't know where we were exactly. It's like an American Legion, but clearly we're not American.
Didn't get trafficked. Yeah, these are statements made by the non-trafficked.
Yeah. So like I didn't see the city, so it's nameless to me, nameless, faceless, whatever.
Sure.
Right? I'm just like, oh, Winnipeg. I can't let that happen again. I have to be not as dumb as I was, and then I would become less stupid.
Okay. How did that work? Do you feel like the results of that have paid off?
Yes.
I'm Googling where John Candy is from, because it okay, he's from Toronto.
All right, Toronto, I would say second best place in Canada.
Sure. I mean, I believe that. Wait. No, he's from Newmarket, Ontario, which is part of Greater Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto's in Ontario, so.
Yeah, so there you go. He's not from Winnipeg, nor is he from anywhere in French Canada. So there you go. He actually, I don't actually know. Is Toronto in French Canada? I don't really know the difference.
No. God, no.
You
Not
could have
enough.
told
Not
me
enough
yes, and I'd be
knows.
like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. My understanding of Canadian geography is like, for an American, I probably have a better understanding of like Middle Eastern geography and Mediterranean geography than like most Americans would, right?
I
Which is
believe
a
that.
low bar. But I
Also true.
have absolutely no understanding of Canadian geography. I have never done any independent research into that. I have never spent any time just looking at anything related to Canada. It's all been like Eastern Europe and the Mediterranean and the Middle East. And like I probably know more about the history of the House of Saud than I do about Canada, genuinely.
Vancouver is north of Seattle.
That's crazy. Because like there's like two Canadian cities I know. It's Toronto and Vancouver, right? Vancouver north of Seattle. Toronto is like north of New York or some shit. Like that's my impression. What the hell's in the
Buffalo's
middle?
like an hour away.
What the hell's in the middle? What's
Winnipeg?
It's just like that. That's a lot of shit for there just to be nothing there, you know?
Winnipeg is like 6 hours north of the Twin Cities. Toronto's like an hour from the Buffalo airport. I know because we also got detained at that border. Much different story. Much older Gerry, but Gerry related shenanigans.
You'd gone from traffic or traffic-y to trafficker by that point, presumably.
No. I was still, well, remind me to tell you this story when we're off the cast.
I honestly feel like I can guess at half of it just from the reaction to that joke. I can't.
No,
okay.
You really can't.
Okay.
You really can't. Right. I'll take the field. This has been told by Eric Froelich on, I think, Limited Resources. Okay. So it is technically out there. If you want to go find this, by all means. I feel like the statute of limitations is probably run out at this point.
That's not a good legal theory to operate on. I got to be honest with you, man. Like, I feel like the statute of limitations has probably run out. I would not
feel like it probably has.
I also feel like I feel like Ifro wouldn't say it if it hadn't. You know, I don't think he's dumb. You know,
I don't think he's dumb, but he was also not the person who was committing crimes at this point. So,
also makes sense.
Well, that's also technically not true, but it's possible that he left his part out of it.
Awesome. So, you know, just a normal crimes at the Canadian border. Speaking of which, have you taken a look
amongst us? Who amongst us?
Speaking of crimes at the Canadian border, have you taken a look at the upcoming Marvel Snap season that seems to be themed after Canadians?
No.
Yeah, dude. We don't know as far as I'm aware. But like I'm not sure how much of this is like fully known, but as far as I know, the December season there's like a bunch. Hold on, I'm gonna check SnapFan just to make sure. But I saw someone talking about this like it was like it's the Canadians themed Marvel Snap season, and I hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't really considered it as like that's actually what the theme is, but
I have some ideas.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's like a little iffy, but it's not that iffy. And here's what I'll say. It's Wolverine, Weapon X, Canadian. That's a Canadian guy.
I was going to say he's like the most famous Canadian, probably.
Yeah. Wade Wilson, I don't know if he's Canadian, but Ryan Reynolds definitely is, right? Like, he just has Canadian vibes. Weapon H looks like the Hulk fused with Wolverine, could be at least half Canadian. You know? I don't know anything about Weapon H, but
I guess, if they're fused together.
At least half Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Maverick, no idea who that is, but sounds Canadian.
So he was also in the cartoon, and God, what was the woman's name? But it was Maverick, Wolverine, Sabretooth, and the woman whose name I forget, who were part of like the Weapon X mercenary squad.
Yeah, okay. But that's not what I asked. Is Maverick Canadian? That's the important thing here.
Well, the Weapon X stuff happened in Canada.
Okay.
And given that
has anyone
Logan is
explained
Canadian,
why that happened? Was it just like they were like, we need to go somewhere with less civil liberties protections than the United States, so we'll go to Canada?
I think it's because it was remote.
Ah, okay. well, wouldn't we do it in Alaska then? Like, I don't understand. Why are we in Canada?
I don't know.
We're violating Canadian sovereignty to do really dumbass experiments. It just seems like a
anyway.
weird move.
Wolverine Canadian, canonically. Sabretooth is his brother, so I think safe to say he's Canadian.
I don't think that's even true.
Is it not anymore?
No, I think Sabretooth's a totally different guy.
What?
Yeah. Anyway, more Canadian themed cards. Fastball Special is Colossus throwing Wolverine. Adamantium Infusion.
Canada.
Adamantium Infusion is Wolverine getting infused with adamantium, which is at least, he's involved. It's Canadian. Aurora, actually just a Canadian superhero. Aurora is actually Canadian. And
we
Phantom
have
X,
North Star?
Phantom X is not Canadian. He is supposedly French-Algerian, but then you learn that, like, when he's introduced, he takes, like, Professor X to his house, which you later learn is entirely a psychic projection. So he might be French-Algerian. He might just be whatever. It is unclear what the deal is there. But
I guess in the movies, they said that they were brothers. That's what it was.
Yeah, because in the comics, his name is, like, Victor Creel. Totally unrelated to Logan.
Creed.
Victor Creed.
Yes.
Who's Creel?
Yeah, but Lorna Dane, Eric Lensher.
Are you just like naming bad names? Because Victor.
No,
Creed is
they're
cool.
related and they have different names, dude. If you want me to talk about Polaris some more, I will.
No, we did. We replaced you with a different clone just to make sure that didn't happen.
I'll find her Wikipedia page right now.
Feel free. But yeah, I feel as though I have no idea what the theming of this season is. It doesn't make any sense, and Canadians is the best I've got.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like this cat might be at home in the Great White North. Blend in so well. But she has no survival instincts. She would not last a second out there in the Yukon provinces.
Ooh. North Star's real name is Jean-Paul Beaubier.
Yep, that you hate him. I have realized very quickly that you hate this man. Also, who's North Star?
Alpha Flight.
I know Alpha Flight, but like I know because I've only been exposed to these guys through like X-Men stuff way back in the day. So I know like Guardian, which is James McDonald Hudson, incredibly Canadian name. I know it's not Snowguard, but it's something.
Snowbird.
Yes, Snowbird. I
Sasquatch.
know. Yes, and then there's the shaman guy whose last name is Two Young Men, and I don't know North Star.
Michael Two Youngman. Yep.
Yeah.
What about Puck?
Yeah, Puck is around. Yeah, I know who he is. And then during Immortal Hulk they did Gamma Flight, which like haha, get it because it's the gamma rays. And Puck was also in that one.
Where's Beta Flight?
They skipped it. Beta Flight is
I'm not satisfied with that answer.
Well, actually, Beta Flight sort of leaked into real life, It's the only member of Beta Flight that I'm aware of is Andrew Tate.
From Alpha Flight Wikipedia page, most team members have distinctly Canadian attributes, such as having French heritage.
So here's what I'm wondering. Did Phantom X get chucked in here because he's French? Like, that's sort of where I'm at on this. Like, is Phantom X in this season by virtue of being a French guy? And they're like, that's Canadian enough, let's do it.
Alpha Flight's base is Department H.
Can you tell me who Weapon H is? What's the deal there?
I mean, no, but I can look it up.
Well, yeah, you're the one who has access to a computer right now. I obviously, if I tab off anything, I'm screwed.
Clayton Cortez.
Not
it's
distinctly
Hulk
Canadian?
with Wolverine claws.
It?
Ex-military mercenary. He was kidnapped and sold to the Weapon X project.
Okay, so just okay. I guess you could argue this is a Weapon X season, right? Because we've got Wolverine, we've got this guy, we've got Phantom X. Phantom X is Weapon 13. Also, funny gag here. It is canonical that Weapon X refers to Weapon 10, the 10th generation super soldier, right?
Yeah.
Phantom X being Weapon 13 X11, right? Or X111, sorry. This then makes me feel weird about there being a Weapon H, because that's not a Roman numeral. Like, I think what happened is, here's my best guess based on the very little that I know. They did Weapon X. Some writer was like, "Oh, I'll do that as if it's a letter," and then they were later like, "No, it's not a letter." They retconned that.
Well, too late.
Yep.
Okay, hold up. If it's Department H, was he working for this department? I'm looking. No. Yeah, okay, I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know when they did this, but they were like, everything must relate back to Captain America. So Wolverine Weapon X, that's Weapon 10, and Weapon 1 was Captain America, the original super soldier serum. And that's how the lore is canonically right now, as far as I'm aware.
Which is weird because Captain America then became a Canadian project.
I still don't understand, because I think it's the U.S. government. We're just like in Canada. Like it's not like it's the Canadian government doing it. Where the U.S. government is doing the weapon stuff just on random Canadians for no reason.
Well, Department H is Canadian government.
Long story short, we need to get Vindicator in here. Or Guardian. Or whatever his name is. Why do I think he's both Guardian and Vindicator? I think probably because he is.
No, Weapon X is operated by Department K, which is Canadian.
So, is my understanding of this that, like, due to budget cuts, we just, like, spun it off and chucked it into Canada? Like, they were like, we need to balance the budget, so we're just going to outsource our black site. We do that in real life. Like, we do a lot of outsourced black site stuff. That's actually kind of the definition of a black site, but operated by the home country. Oh, interesting.
I don't know, man. Oh, Silver Fox! That was her name.
Dude, there are so many insane. Like, who was like, we need ethnically Canadian superheroes? Like, that is so sick. Who was like, we need a team of like extremely ethnically Canadian superheroes. That is what we need to sell comic books in America right now. We need that.
No, people in Canada buy comics too, man.
It's just like, okay, I guess. It's an incredible early example of woke, I suppose. Like,
yeah, for real.
They're doing identity politics for Canadians. They're like, we have to do identity politics to pander to the Canadian market in like 1972. They invented doing woke marketing.
Yeah, dude, I guarantee they looked at some numbers and they're like, oh man, our shit is terrible in Canada.
How do we solve this? Do we write better shit? No. We invent a Canadian
that ain't gonna
super.
solve anything.
Did DC do
Let's
this?
make a French guy.
DC do this? Is there just like French Canadian Superman? Is this a thing that other comic book companies did, or was it just unique to Marvel?
Yeah, not real comic book companies, I think.
I just like it. Just like the more I think about it, the weirder it gets that they were like, we need to do this. Like we need to do this. Marvel's interactions.
I think it's
with
called
foreign
world
cultures, building. Marvel's interactions with foreign cultures in like the 70s. There's just a lot of weird shit going on with X-Men and things of that nature. Like every Wolverine in Japan story, or just generally the idea of Betsy Braddock being in an Asian lady's body with nobody being like, is that a problem, for 20 years? And then like it just generally it's just like, it feels like a lot of them are written by like relatively well-meaning people who just don't really grasp what they're doing, is sort of the vibe I get off of it. Like,
yeah,
clumsy is the word I might use. But you just like then you run into the Psylocke thing. The Psylocke thing is the funniest thing on earth. Guess what year they were like, oh, it's actually problematic to have a white lady and an Asian lady. Guess what year they figured that out?
2018.
Yeah. Yes.
They nailed it.
It might have been 2020, honestly. Anyway, she's her own character now. She rocks. They got Betsy out of that Asian lady's body. Her name is Quanon, which, as far as I know, not a Japanese name. Just like not even close.
No, it's not. No.
But they're trying. She's on Scott's X-Men team right now, and she routinely threatens to kill Quentin Quire, which is, I think, roughly the correct reaction to having to talk to Quentin Quire.
Yeah.
That's like, she's arguably the protagonist, I would say, of that entire series. That's sort of where it's at. It's just so funny for a company that's like ostensibly as like quote woke as Marvel is, to have all of this clumsy shit in their past and be like, that's behind us. And then in the Obama administration, post-Obama administration, they're just like, what do you mean there's something wrong with this? Like, what are you talking about? It's super funny.
I mean, there are a lot of things wrong with this, but did you see Wonder Woman 84?
I did, yeah. I don't know exactly what you're referencing when you say that.
I don't remember the exact specifics, but I do remember there was some amount of person trapped in other person's body, and then like both party, like the person who's trapped in the body wants to have sex with their partner. And both of them are just like, yeah, it's fine if we just use this person's body.
I remember
That's
that.
Cool.
Yes.
I was just watching that going like, no one was like, this is probably not okay.
They didn't even have like a weird racial component to it, though, because the out of universe reason for why Psylocke became Asian was that the author of the comics at the time wanted to draw a hot Asian lady. That's it. He was just like, she's Asian now because I want that. And there are no Asians in Britain, so we must body snatch one of them. Literally. I will not invent a new character to do this. You cannot make me do this. I don't want to draw an immigrant. Dude. I feel like there's probably ripe grounds for study of like Marvel portrayals of Asia, because from Fu Manchu to the Mandarin to all of this crap, it is like wow, guys, you are doing a bad job at this. Like, it's pretty consistently just like, oh, that is not a good idea. And they just do it all the time. They have a
They sure do.
they have a total aversion to just like being like, oh, well, this person looks different from me, but they're fundamentally still a person and the same. Oh my god, I forgot about Sunfire. Oh my god, we're talking about ridiculous images. Are you familiar with Sunfire?
I am not.
Sunfire shows up in the first Giant Size X-Men written by Chris Claremont. His costume, first of all, let's get this out of the way. He is Japanese. It is 1970 something, right? His costume is the Rising Sun. It's like a samurai themed The Rising Sun. Are you familiar with the Silver Samurai? It's like that, but more racist. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Silver Samurai, actually, his brother introduced later, which is why Silver Samurai is slightly less racist. So what Starfire does is he shows up, he wears the Rising Sun on his mutant costume, and he yells about his honor, and then leaves. Great character, cool. Sunfire. Like, great job, guys. Like, really phenomenally done in your comic about prejudice is to do this in the first issue. It is absurd. I actually did a double take when I saw his costume. It was just like, what do you mean? Why does it look like that? Like, it's super cool. They really just consistently seem to fuck this up in ways that are genuinely remarkable. They treat Storm and Forge with, I would argue, relative respect compared to the way they treat anyone who is Asian at any point in time throughout the run of Claremont stuff that I have read so far.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It is wild. I feel like we've gone so far off topic that I don't even know what I want to do from here. Like, do you have any burning opinions? Oh, hello. Any burning opinions you got to get off your chest?
My cat is cute. The end.
Sick.
It's all.
Oh, is this actually the first Gerry life update that had something other than same in it? Look at.
Normally she's chill, but it's getting close to food time, so she's not having it.
She was definitely doing a little bit of squirming there. A little like, don't show me off without rewarding me first, you know?
Yeah.
I
put food in me first, and then you can do whatever you want.
Dude, that's kind of how I operate, honestly.
Yeah. She's like, I'll just be floating, but in my food coma, so who cares?
Yeah. I've been rereading Calvin and Hobbes recently, and it's made me feel feelings that like I didn't know I could still feel. You're just like, oh man, I want to give my inner child a hug reading this. But I've come to realize that a lot of my jokes are patterned on that. Like the joke setup I do, where I like refer to myself as like, well, I'm going to interpret this in the most favorable possible terms to me. Like where I like sort of try to like put a lampshade on like the sort of self-centered way in which I would approach that. I was reading Calvin and Hobbes. That's just straight out of Calvin and Hobbes. I didn't even realize that I stole that from somewhere, but I definitely did.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
I didn't realize it, but like 100%, absolutely, definitely stole that. That is absolutely a Calvin and Hobbes gag, and I have incorporated into my personality for presumably about 25 years. It's
makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's just like you read something and you just like, I didn't even realize this influenced me in that way. Like, it didn't even process to me that so much. It's like I've always sort of traced it back to like, oh, like sitcom character, right? Chandler Bing or whatever. No, it's Calvin. I'm doing a Calvin bit. That's what that is.
It's kind of wild to think that author, I don't remember the author's name at this point, but it's like
Bill Watterson?
You are creating, huh?
Bill Watterson.
Author. Oh, okay. That sounds right. I would probably pick that out of multiple choice, I think. Anyway, you're like creating this comic strip that then you start publishing like these nice books of and whatnot, and you influence people to the degree where like you shape their sense of humor and like how they tell jokes. That's crazy.
Horrifying. It's one of the most horrifying things is to think that I would have had that influence on somebody. Obviously, not to the degree of the great Bill Watterson, but even one person being like, "I heard this joke on KMBest stream," or "I like this joke formulation. I'll work on it."
Just like they watch you so much that they're like copying your inflection or whatever, whether they notice it or not.
Horrifying. A horrifying concept for me.
World's not ready.
I mean, it's I was trying to workshop a joke in my head where, by the way, this formulation where I just like make a gesture at the joke rather than actually telling the joke, that also might be a Calvin and Hobbes thing. I can't exactly point at it, a specific comic influence on it, but I think that might be the kind of, that seems very Calvin-esque, where it's like the joke is partially that I don't feel like putting the effort into constructing the joke. But I was going to say, like, we'll be able to tell, like, it's clear that Gerry Thompson's influence has gotten everywhere in the world. When you look at all the people who have cactuar-shaped armbands on, you've really, really gotten to a peak of influence.
Yikes.